Dependable. The person everyone calls when they need a favor. That's probably why my stepbrother Jason felt perfectly comfortable asking to borrow my truck on a random Tuesday evening. Come on, Trin. I just need it for a couple hours. My car's in the shop. Jason leaned against my kitchen counter, tossing an apple between his hands. I looked up from my laptop and sighed. Last time you borrowed it, you returned it with an empty tank and a mysterious dent in the bumper. That wasn't even my fault. Some lady backed into me at the grocery store, he protested, his voice rising slightly. I swear I'll fill it up this time. And the time before that, you left fast food wrappers everywhere. I was in a rush. Look, I've got a job interview tomorrow. I need to look responsible, show up in something better than an Uber. His voice softened, taking on that pleading tone he'd perfected since we were kids. My coworker, Allison, who was helping me with a project, glanced up from her notes. Trinity, didn't you tell me last week that I'm too nice for my own good? Yeah, she did. Jason interrupted with a grin. It's one of her best qualities. Allison frowned. Actually, I was going to say, fine, I cut in, tossing Jason my keys. But I need it back by 9, intact and with a full tank. I've got an early meeting tomorrow. You're the best. He caught the keys with a flourish. 9 o'clock, spotless condition, full tank, Scout's honor. You were never a scout, I reminded him. Details, details. He headed for the door, then turned back. Hey, by the way, have you talked to Megan lately? I frowned. Your ex? No, why would I? No reason, he said too quickly. Just curious. After he left, Allison raised an eyebrow. You know he's going to do something stupid, right? He always does, I admitted. But what's the worst that could happen? I found out exactly what could happen at 11:30 that night, when loud knocking jolted me awake. I stumbled to the door to find 2 police officers standing on my porch. Trinity Lawson? The taller officer asked, his face expressionless. Yes? I wrapped my robe tighter around myself. What's going on? We need to ask you some questions about your vehicle, a 2020 Ford F-150, license plate number TNL 4729. My stomach dropped. My truck? What about it? It was identified at the scene of an incident earlier tonight. Significant property damage at 1842 Oak Ridge Drive. That's impossible, I said. My stepbrother borrowed it, but he was supposed to return it hours ago. Your truck was used to destroy property at Megan Winter's residence, said the female officer, Officer Chen, according to her nameplate. Multiple witnesses identified the vehicle. Megan, my stepbrother's ex-girlfriend? The pieces started falling into place. I had nothing to do with this. Jason took my truck and... We've been unable to locate Jason Reeves, Officer Chen said. But we have multiple witness statements placing your vehicle at the scene, driving repeatedly over Miss Winter's front lawn, destroying her garden and several decorative fixtures. Turn around, please, Miss Lawson, the male officer said, pulling out handcuffs. Wait, you can't be serious. I was home all night. My coworker was here until 8. You have the right to remain silent, he continued, cold metal closing around my wrists. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. I couldn't believe it. I was being arrested for something my stepbrother had done. I've been trying to call him all night, I told Detective Garcia across the metal table in the police station's interview room. After being processed, photographed, and fingerprinted, I'd finally been allowed to speak with someone. He's not answering his phone or texts. Convenient, Detective Garcia remarked, scrolling through something on his tablet. Miss Winters claims this is the culmination of weeks of harassment following their breakup. That may be true, but I had nothing to do with it, I insisted. Jason borrowed my truck around 6. He was supposed to return it by 9. Do you have any proof he took your vehicle? My coworker Allison was there when I gave him the keys, and I'm sure there are security cameras at my apartment complex that would show him driving it away. Detective Garcia made a note. We'll check those. In the meantime, you're being charged with criminal mischief and vandalism. Bail hearing is tomorrow morning. They let me make one phone call. I called my Aunt Vivian, the only family member with both the means and sense to help me. Trinity, do you have any idea what time it is? Aunt Vivian's voice was groggy. I'm at the police station, I blurted. Jason took my truck and used it to destroy his ex-girlfriend's front yard. They're charging me because they can't find him. That little... She caught herself. Never mind. I'll be there in 20 minutes with a lawyer. True to her word, Aunt Vivian arrived with a stern-looking woman named Margaret, who efficiently arranged my release on bail pending further investigation. The next morning, I sat at Aunt Vivian's kitchen table, hands wrapped around a mug of coffee. "Have you heard from him?" she asked, setting down a plate of toast I had no appetite for. "Nothing. His roommate Tyler says he hasn't come home either." Aunt Vivian's eyes narrowed. "This isn't the first time he's done something like this, is it? Using people and disappearing when there are consequences?" "He's never gotten me arrested before," I said bitterly. My phone buzzed. A text from Allison. "OMG, just heard what happened. Are you okay? Need anything?" I was typing a response when a call came through. Tyler. "Hey, Jason just showed up at the apartment to grab some clothes," he said without preamble. "He's acting weird. Said something about staying with a friend for a while." "Put him on the phone," I demanded. "He's already gone, but..." Tyler hesitated. "Look, I hate to say this, but he was laughing about the whole thing with Megan's yard. Said it was epic revenge for her cheating on him. I had no idea he used your truck." "Did he say where he was going?" "No, but he mentioned meeting up with Dave later." Dave Harmon had been Jason's best friend since high school. I thanked Tyler and immediately called Dave. "Trinity? What's up?" Dave sounded nervous. "Where's Jason? And don't lie to me, Dave. I'm facing criminal charges because of him." "Whoa, what? Charges for what?" "He used my truck to destroy Megan's front yard. The police arrested me because they couldn't find him." "That's messed up," Dave said slowly. "But I swear I haven't seen him. We were supposed to meet up later today at the Corner Grill." "What time? 1 o'clock? I'll be there." I hung up before he could protest. "You're going to confront him in public?" Aunt Vivian asked, having overheard the conversation. "With witnesses around, yes. And I'm bringing Officer Chen. She gave me her card and said to call if I located Jason." "Good," Aunt Vivian nodded approvingly. "That boy needs to face consequences for once in his life." "I trusted him," I said quietly. "Even knowing what he's like, I still gave him those keys." "This isn't your fault." Aunt Vivian reached across the table to squeeze my hand. "But it is a valuable lesson about who deserves your trust." The Corner Grill was busy with the lunch crowd when I arrived at 12:45. Officer Chen had agreed to wait outside until I confirmed Jason was there. I spotted Dave sitting alone in a booth near the back, nervously checking his phone. "Where is he?" I demanded, sliding in across from him. Dave jumped. "Trinity, I don't think he's coming. He texted a few minutes ago saying something came up." I grabbed Dave's phone. "Let me see." "Hey, you can't just..." "Show me the text, Dave, or I swear I'll make such a scene that everyone in this restaurant will know exactly what kind of person you are for helping him hide." Dave's face reddened as he unlocked his phone and handed it over. The text from Jason read, "Can't make it. Trinity's on the warpath. Laying low at Mike's cabin. Cover for me if she asks." "Mike's cabin?" I looked up. "Your brother's place at Lake Morrison?" Dave slumped in defeat. "Look, I didn't know about the truck thing until after it happened. He called me laughing about how he'd shown Megan what happens when you cheat. But he never mentioned using your truck or that you got arrested, I swear. But you're still helping him hide." "He's my friend," Dave said weakly. "And what am I? The collateral damage in his revenge fantasy?" My voice was rising. "I spent the night in jail, Dave. I have a mugshot. I might lose my job if this goes on my record." A few people at nearby tables were starting to stare. "I'm sorry," Dave muttered. "Mike's place is unlocked. Jason's been there since last night." I stood up. "Thanks for finally doing the right thing." Outside, I filled in Officer Chen, who called for backup to meet us at the cabin. On the 40-minute drive, she asked questions about Jason's relationship with Megan. "They dated for about 8 months," I explained. "It was intense from the start. Lots of drama, breaking up, and getting back together. When Megan finally ended things for good last month, Jason didn't take it well. Did he make threats? Not that I know of, but he's always been the type to get even rather than move on. When we pulled up to the small cabin, my truck was parked outside. My hands clenched into fists at the sight of the mud splattered along its sides. Officer Chen motioned for me to stay back as she approached the door with another officer who had arrived just before us. They knocked and announced themselves. Jason opened the door, looking disheveled. His eyes widened when he saw me standing behind the officers. "Jason Reeves?" Officer Chen asked. "We need to talk about an incident involving a Ford F-150 registered to Trinity Lawson." "Trinity," Jason called past the officers. "What the hell? You called the cops on me?" "You used my truck to vandalize Megan's property," I shouted back. "They arrested me." "It was just a prank," Jason protested as the officers entered the cabin. "Megan deserved it after what she did." "A prank?" I pushed forward despite Officer Chen's warning glance. "They put me in handcuffs. They took my fingerprints. I had to call Aunt Vivian to bail me out." "I'm sorry, okay?" Jason's tone shifted to the pleading one he always used when cornered. I was angry and not thinking straight. "You know how Megan hurt me. I was going to bring your truck back all cleaned up." "That doesn't change what you did," I said coldly. "Come on, Trin. We're family. I messed up, I admit it. But you've always had my back, right?" His eyes were desperate now. "I'll pay for any damages to Megan's yard. I'll explain everything to the police. Just don't do this." "Do what? Hold you accountable for once in your life?" "I'm begging you." He lowered his voice. "Please, sis. I can't have this on my record. You know I'm trying to get that new job." "You should have thought about that before you stole my truck." "I didn't steal it. You gave me the keys." "To use for a job interview, not to commit a crime." Jason's face darkened. "Fine. If that's how you want to play it, remember I know things about you too. Remember that fender bender last year that you never reported? Or the time you borrowed money from Mom's purse in high school? Family's supposed to protect each other, not stab each other in the back." Officer Chen stepped between us. "Mr. Reeves, we're taking you in for questioning regarding the vandalism at Megan Winter's residence. Miss Lawson has filed a statement that her vehicle was used without permission for this purpose." "You'll regret this," Jason hissed at me as they let him out. "Nobody's going to believe you over me. I'll make sure of it." 3 weeks later, I sat in the courthouse hallway waiting for Jason's hearing to begin. The charges against me had been dropped after security footage from my apartment complex confirmed Jason had taken my truck, and phone records showed I'd been home all night. Now it was his turn to face the judge. Megan approached hesitantly. "Trinity, I just wanted to say thanks for making sure he faced consequences. Most people in your position would have covered for him." "Most people haven't been arrested because of their stepbrother's revenge schemes," I replied. She twisted her hands nervously. "I know we've never been close, but for what it's worth, I'm sorry you got caught in the middle of this." "Did he do things like this when you were together?" I asked. Megan sat down beside me. "Not this extreme, but yeah. He'd get jealous, then do something impulsive to teach me a lesson. When I finally ended things, he kept calling from different numbers, showing up places he knew I'd be." "Classic Jason," I sighed. "Can I ask why you're here today, after everything he put you through?" "I need to see it through," I explained. "Make sure he doesn't talk his way out of this like he always does." Officer Chen approached with a folder. "Miss Lawson, I thought you'd want to know. We found text messages on Jason's phone detailing his plan to vandalize Winter's property. He also texted someone named Tyler saying, and I quote, 'Trinity will never know I used her truck for this.'" "So he planned it all along," I said quietly. "The prosecution has added unauthorized use of a motor vehicle to the charges," Officer Chen continued. "Given his record of previous complaints, they're pushing for maximum penalties." Inside the courtroom, I watched as Jason's confident smirk faded when his attorney informed him about the new evidence. When his eyes met mine across the room, I saw something I'd never seen before: fear. The judge denied Jason's attorney's request for leniency, citing his pattern of escalating retaliatory behavior and deliberate effort to implicate an innocent family member. Afterward, Jason caught up to me in the hallway. Trinity, wait. Please. I turned reluctantly. I know I messed up, he said, voice cracking. But 6 months community service and mandatory anger management? My life is over. Maybe you should have thought about consequences before you acted, I replied evenly. I was hurt and angry. You of all people should understand that. What I understand is that you were willing to let me take the blame for your actions. You didn't come forward even knowing I'd been arrested. I panicked, he admitted. But we can get past this, right? We're still family. I shook my head slowly. Family doesn't do what you did, Jason. Family doesn't threaten each other or try to ruin each other's lives. So that's it? You're just cutting me off? After everything we've been through? I'm not cutting you off. I'm holding you accountable. There's a difference. I said I was sorry. His voice rose in frustration. What more do you want from me? I want you to actually be sorry, not just say it when you need something. And I want you to understand that some bridges can't be unburned. Aunt Vivian appeared beside me, placing a protective hand on my shoulder. I think my niece has said all that needs saying, Jason. As we walked away, Jason called after us. You'll forgive me eventually. You always do. But this time was different. This time I wouldn't. Later that evening, Allison and Officer Chen joined Aunt Vivian and me for dinner. To justice, Aunt Vivian raised her glass in a toast. And to learning who truly deserves our trust, I added. Officer Chen smiled. You know, we could use people with your sense of integrity at the department. Have you ever considered a career in law enforcement? I laughed. After my experience with handcuffs? No thanks. What will you do about Jason going forward? Allison asked. I considered the question carefully. I'll be civil if I see him at family gatherings, but I won't loan him my truck, my money, or my trust ever again. Some people never change, Aunt Vivian observed. But you have, Trinity. You're stronger now. And wiser, I agreed. Though I have to wonder, how many of us keep the wrong people in our lives simply because we're used to them being there? How many chances do we give before we accept that some relationships are just toxic? What about you? Have you ever had to cut someone out of your life for your own well-being? Was it worth it in the end?